district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offers the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT DiSTRiCT, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasyland? We're back in the GOAT District for that special time of year, as we do it every year on the district, the playoffs, the FFPC Playoff Challenge. You got 2 levels. I'm with my boy Rob. We're going to hit one of them tonight, the big one tonight. It's afternoon, same thing. So dark here, Rob. I haven't seen the sun like I told you in so many weeks. It's the day and the night. They all look the same up here. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I feel great. We got sunshine, 83 degrees right now outside in Palm Beach County.
Oh, like damn.
I had to put on a sweater, though. You know, it's getting a little chilly. You know?
That AC will really get the back of your neck there. I know. It's an ugly thing. Actually, I got to turn my heater off because that's going to annoy the listeners. But we're hitting this playoff challenge. We do it every year. Obviously, with our partners over there at the FFPC, they do a $35 buy-in for $100,000 first place, and then a $200 buy-in for a $500,000 first place. So, I mean, look at this. Couple weeks, Rob, 2 3 weeks of fantasy, and you got yourself life-changing money. It doesn't get better than that. So we're going to hit one of these rosters tonight. Rob's done a lot of homework. He's gone deep dive into the DVOAs, the stats, all the goodness you guys want to hear, similar to what we do in the Thursday tailgate when we look at that Thursday night. And then we'll kind of focus in on strategies, how to approach this tournament, and, look at individual games, teams, matchups, all the goodness. So let me just, Rob, why don't you give your thoughts, talk about, is this, what you have a lot of, you played this tournament a lot. How often would you usually do the small, that kind of thing? Just your thoughts on the tournament. And then maybe talk about your general approach coming into it when you first start looking at building your roster.
Okay, so...
Or actually, you know what? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Before that, if you can, while I mute my fan in the background here, why don't you just talk about the format a bit? Just for those that maybe not as familiar with the FFPC, tight end premium, the lineup, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure, happy to. So this is a set it and forget it kind of format, similar to the FFPC season format, where you have PPR, you have tight ends that are able to, get a point and a half. You have an extra flex. I think an extra flex position. Also have defense. Also have a kicker. So this is a little different than some of those slim tournaments. But the set it and forget it is the important part. Andrew Cooper said it really well the other day. If you're saying DFS is like checkers, this is like chess. You got to think a few moves ahead.
Agreed. Yeah, because you can't just look at this weekend's games and set your lineups that way. You got to think ahead. Some guys that you're going to choose might not even play this weekend. And then you got to look at the bonuses when you get to the final week. You get double points at that point. And you talked about the tight end premium. You've got 4 flex positions where you can play running back, receiver, or tight end. You've got the 1 tight end spot, the 2 receiver spots, the 2 running back spots, 1 quarterback, obviously. And then there are kickers and defenses, which add another little twist to the game when you're looking at this huge GPP here. Looking at it right now, you've got some entries left in both. It closes at Saturday, the 13th. at 4:30 p.m. is when they lock up the lineups. Like Rob said, you can't change your lineup, so you're riding this thing till the end. You got to kind of balance who you think is going to score a lot of points per game. You got to balance which teams you think are going to go the farthest and which guys you think are going to end up in the Super Bowl, but strategically so that you're not with the herd, because it's a very top heavy prize pool.
Well, yeah, and again, Theo and Andrew Cooper just had a podcast. If you go and check it out the other night, where they were talking the last few, a lot of these are all favorites. They come down to maybe one or two guys that are different, that are different from the pack, that are those guys that, make the heroic effort. But a lot of times it's not so much, because this is when the stars are going to play. You just want to pick the guys that are going to be best, who are going to point, they're going to pick the most points up and balance that out, between the roster. And so, yeah.
So let me ask you, Rob, I'm going to wait to put the screen up with the rosters and all that kind of stuff. Let's start a bit more macro. When you're looking at it, building this team, do you come in and you have kind of like your brackets laid out in front of you, so you know which teams are going where, which teams are going to match up against each other in which rounds? Or do you kind of start kind of like when I first came on today? What's the first thing you ask me? Your top three guys that you kind of have to start in your lineups. Your more chalk guys, some guys sometimes you can just come in, throw in your chalk guys, and then build around that. What's your general approach when you start building this thing? Do you have one, or do you like to mix it up? How do you kind of approach it?
The former. I start out micro. I'm building everything up. I look at this a couple of different ways. I have a fantasy football lens. I have a handicapping lens. That I'm looking at the games, and then I'm also kind of stepping back and looking at statistical trends. So I think I'm kind of trying to balance a few things. Once I get a 1,000-foot view, then I'm kind of putting the pieces together on the brackets, and really the players jump out, the matchups jump out. So you're just kind of wondering who's going to advance to the next matchup.
Now, because you have a lot of this, I know you've got, as usual, you've got your deep dive stats here. So do you want to start getting in? Oh, we got Jamin in the chat. What's up to the chat, by the way? You guys are already in there. We got Jack, Anthony, Jamie. We appreciate you guys joining us today on this beautiful Friday afternoon. So do we want to talk about, like we're talking about these chalk guys, these chalk teams? Do we want to talk about where we sit on these, or do you want to start with kind of like how you get to that answer with regards to your stats and all the goodness?
I think the best way we could go through this, honestly, and if we want to get this done before tomorrow, is probably just go game by game. These initial games, kind of figure out who we like in these. That could be these guys that we like in these games. Some of them are going to pop out to me. I'll throw some statistics as we go, and I see what people are saying in the chat. So if you got a question on a game, like we'll get to the Steelers at some point, I'll talk about them. And but yeah, maybe start out with like the early game, which is Cleveland. Currently they're given 2 points, 44.5. Well, I don't know if this is current. They opened giving 2 points with a total of 44.5. Now I'm not sure exactly where the line is now.
Yeah, so it's still Cleveland favorite on the road, -2. So you got to think with the, let's say you give 2 to 2.5 to Houston for the home field advantage. So it's like almost a 4-point spread in favor of Cleveland if it's on a neutral field. And then you've got, like you said, 44.5 with regards to the over under. I mean, indoor game, you've got a lot of these cold games that we're going to talk about, Rob, and we touched on it a bit before we came on, where you're probably going to see an under. But then you have the Browns, obviously defensive, juggernaut when you're looking at these two teams. And then you've got Houston, kind of that sexy young offense with the, Stroud is back. You've got Nico Collins that's crushing. Singletary's this time of year is when he eats. Obviously Njoku, Jamie mentions, has been beasting out, and I don't see that stopping. It's kind of about time he breaks out. But like we talk about often, these tight ends take a bit of time, and Joe Flacco was the key to his career popping there in Cleveland. So what do you have on this game? The matchups, what do you like?
Well, first a little tidbit is Joe Flacco wins this game, he'll pass Tom Brady for most road playoff wins in NFL, also becomes all-time leader in wins in the wild card round. So Joe Flacco comes into this game, a ton of experience. When I'm looking at this game, first of all, you got a lot of injuries on Cleveland side. You got Myles Garrett, Kareem Hunt. I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to be playing. Oh no, maybe he's playing or playing hurt. Tillman's going to be out. Their kicker is going to be out. Pierre Strong had a back injury late in the game last week. Meanwhile, you look in at Houston, their defense really has been playing well. You got a lot of guys that are questionable, but Will Anderson will be playing. Hughes is going to be out. The defensive end Hughes is going to be out. But when you're looking at Houston, last 9 meetings with the Browns, they're 7-2 against the spread, 5-2 against the spread. The last 7 games versus the Browns at home in Houston. And they're also 6-2 against the spread. Their last 8 games is dogs. So you got a team that's playing really well as a dog, playing at home. It's a small dog, but a lot of people are coming in heavy on Cleveland. I liked Cleveland. I'm starting to think a little now, and understand too. I might be jumping ahead here, but what do you think about that stuff?
You must have some CJ Stroud rookie cards that you're trying to get value there. Yeah, I mean, these are tough games, right? Whenever you have the offensive strength versus the defensive strength of the Browns. The offense is kind of rejuvenated there with Flacco, of course, and he showed us that he could do it. You talked about his stats versus one of the best, if not the best, at the position in the playoffs. When you talk about Tom Brady, so. I don't know. This is definitely a close one, which is why it's -2. I could see this actually getting even closer, maybe 1.5, 1 as we get closer to the game. I don't know. This is really a tough one to call. I could see it go either way. I'd like to see Houston just because it's a nice story to see this offense this year. I think without Tank Dell, like you said, some injuries coming up. They're missing kind of that X factor, especially against a defense like this. So I think it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be a tough one. One of those, like, any mistake, and then is it like Flacco? How's he been the last couple of games interception wise? Flacco, I can't remember now.
Flacco's been playing really well. The Browns passing offense, their DVOA for week 16 and 17 was super high, 45%, 73% positive. That's like near top of the league. One other thing as far as the quarterback battle, rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs, I mean, they win 1 out of 3. So, 1 out of every 3 games, they lose the vast majority of playoff games that they play in. So we have a rookie, but, Stroud's not an average rookie either. I do have a matchup. There is one player in this game that I like.
Which one?
And that's Nico Collins against Martin Emerson Jr.
It's hard to not see him eat. And it's hard to not take him, in this lineup as your Houston play if you don't fade them, or if you don't throw them in whatever defense or that kind of thing.
Right. I think he's a solid play in this format. You could see Nico in the hero role if Cleveland does advance with like 170 something yards, a touchdown, and that's what you really need for your guys that are going out. So, I like Nico kind of for the Houston, but there's a few other guys there too. You know, Cooper has a really nice matchup going against Houston's primary corner there. Who's he going? He's going against Steven Nelson. And Nelson's playing on the right side 98% of the time. So we know right where he's going to be. Cooper's going to have a good matchup against him. Supposed to be coming back healthy. Supposed to be playing well in practice. We'll see. So, you know, there's.
I think you have in this kind of setting, the way we go into wild card weekend with the way this tournament sets, you have the games where you're probably going to see Buffalo heavy favored, right, to get past Pittsburgh. Like you talked about, Pittsburgh might be kind of overlooked right now going into this weekend with how healthy they're getting and how they've been playing. And I mean, Tomlin's a beast, man. You can never count any Tomlin team out. But I think the games like this Cleveland-Houston game, the ones that are like tight games where you're not really sure which way it's going to go, I think that's really where you're going to see like half the tournament or whatever it is, like a good third of the tournament where they're going to kind of take that next step. And then you're going to see part of the tournament kind of left behind because of that, the way they played those tighter games that we're going to see this weekend. And then look, if something like Pittsburgh wins, then you see an even smaller chunk of the tournament kind of take a lead there if they have the right players in the right place, right? So those are the things you got to think about when you're building these rosters. And this Cleveland-Houston is definitely kind of one of those pivotal games. You're going to have to get it right in order to take this tournament down.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's go. Let's look at. I had my little bracket.
Miami, KC. They'd be like the next game coming up.
Yeah, so Miami, KC. We're all hearing about the freezing coldest game ever. They're saying it could be -4.5 right now for KC. I mean, this should be minus 9.5 with this weather forecast. You know.
Minus 30-degree wind chill factors and 30-mile-per-hour winds. I don't care who, this is a game for Pacheco. He runs so hard and in that kind of weather. And I mean, this is a game for Pacheco. And he's got a really good matchup. Miami coming into this have been playing like crap. Their run defense, just week 15, week 16 was just, since then have been just average, giving it up. Let's see. Oh, wait. I'm looking at the wrong spot. The run defense has actually been pretty good for Miami. Their pass defense has been crap the last 3 weeks and really blew up in week 17. I think that was against
Rashid Rice.
Yeah. Rashid Rice has a really good matchup, actually, going against, let's see. I got Rashid Rice in the slot against Cater Code Who. That is a solid matchup. And we know they're both going to be there. Rashid Rice over 50% of the time and Kohu like 72% of the time. So we know that those two are going to be on each other. That's a really good matchup for Rice.
Yeah, I like Rice in this tournament. Like, Kelsey obviously going to be favorite. Mahomes for those who are taking KC in this game. I mean, it's hard not to take Reed and Mahomes at home in this type of weather, but you'd almost prefer seeing this game in Florida in a way, just to see more of how this game would play out. But I mean, who knows how this actually plays down on the weekend. Saturday, and it's Saturday night too, so it's either way it's gonna be cold. So
it's gonna be cold, it's gonna be windy, and I think the Miami stats of them going into cold weather and playing underneath freezing temperatures go back decades. I think they've won once in the history of the franchise in these kind of conditions. It's just not a good situation for him. Hey, just to really quick answer a question Jamie was asking, wouldn't Derek Stingley be on Cooper? Cooper's going to play 39% on the left side, 37% on the right side. So Stingley's going to be almost always on the left side of the ball, on the left side of the defense. So Cooper's going to get moved around. Sometimes he's going to have Stingley on him, but when he goes up against Nelson, he's going to have a matchup advantage.
All right, there you have it, Jamie. Drop any questions if you have. We'll try to catch them as much as we can. Let's go to the next one. AFC Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Another one of these winter games in Buffalo. Always fun in Buffalo in January. And Pittsburgh right now, 9 points. The Buffalo's favorite over them with a over under 34 right now, the lowest of the day. And that's even without Watt playing. So imagine what that over would be, probably under 30.
Well, but looking at this game, even without Watt playing, like Pittsburgh's getting healthy. Minka Fitzpatrick was a full participant this week, and so they're getting back Minka. They also activated DeMonte KZ off to the 53-man roster. So, to me, Pittsburgh's getting healthy at the right time. They're bringing – the defense is getting 2 safeties back against a team that's losing Gabe Davis for this game. Gabe is going to be out. And my honest gut feeling is Kincaid is going to move over. So you're going to see a little more of Kincaid in that position. He could end up in tight end premium, especially being a spot start, a good start. This is just an interesting game. Buffalo giving 9.5 points. It's just an awful lot to give.
It's at 9 right now.
At 9?
I just put my 3-game parlay, so it's at 9. I wanted to make sure I locked in the Houston +2.
Just so you know, Steelers are 11-4 straight up and against the spread the last 15 games versus the Bills. They've always seemed to kind of have the Bills number, since Tomlin's been there. Don't ask me why. They play relatively close together. I expect a close game, low scoring, but we'll see. I mean, 9.5 points. Given the coaching, I think that's a layup, given what's going on with we got Gabe Davis. Also, you have Rasul Douglas and Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp. All of them couldn't practice this week on Buffalo. So, and there are a few other people too that were just partial participants. Yeah, I could see this being closer. In the overall, Buffalo's still a match for Pittsburgh. They're still, going to push them around when all said and done on the offensive line against that defense, but still a lot closer than 9.5 points, I would think, especially with the weather.
Yeah. Again, I think Buffalo is going to be obviously heavily favored, obviously, just when you're looking at a tournament like this. So again, maybe sneaky play is Buffalo there, but it's hard to take to, again, just like KC, right? These cold teams like Buffalo, KC, when they're at home in the cold, Philly, they're used to it. Like that's what they want, right? They don't want the home team coming to like a mucky, wet night or whatever it is. They want it to be nice and frosty, with some wind action, especially when they're playing one of these hotter teams. Pittsburgh is used to it too, so maybe that's another reason why that spread is maybe, but that's why it's getting tighter, right? So I wish you didn't tell me about the 9.5. No, I wish I had gotten the 9.5 in favor of Pittsburgh side. So let's look at the NFC right now. You've got
before you go on, one more thing. The matchup in these on each team, there's one player. Diggs has to believe it or not. Well, not so much Diggs. Let me look. Number 3 is going to be Kincaid, so it's going to be whoever's in Gabe Davis's spot. But Deontay Johnson should have a nice matchup in this. And if you were going to play that hero player, I would be more inclined to take Deontay Johnson and going in that number 2 and slot wide receiver position than Pickens. Sorry.
Yeah, we've seen both of them kind of flash with and it's hard to get. Harris is playing well now. The running game on this team is always, especially one of these like lower scoring, grindy playoff games. Again, lots of way to play this tournament.
And I will say this too. Yeah. since Rudolph has come in, that offense has played well over in DVA, 41%, 34% positive. They've been solid on offense since Rudolph has checked in. I mean, a lot better than people have been giving them credit. And sometimes it's those, the guys that right before the playoffs start, all of a sudden start streaking. And right now, that offense, from a DVOA perspective, coupled with the defense the last week, but although, obviously the Ravens weren't really trying, but I mean, we'll see. That's all I have to say is Rudolph is a wild card in this.
All right, let's get to the NFC here. Green Bay goes into Dallas after beating Chicago last week. Right now, Dallas favored by 7. 50.5 is the over-under. How do you feel about these two teams and their runs in the playoff?
Well, this is kind of funny. Like, this is one of those ones where all the stats say one thing, but my gut just tells me something else.
You and me both.
Green Bay's 9-1 straight up, 8-2 against the spread last 10 games against the Cowboys. The last time the Cowboys beat the Packers in Dallas was 2007. Meanwhile, you got Dallas being 16-0 straight up at home the last 16 games at home, and they've just been smoking people at home. They haven't just been winning at home. They kill people there. Dallas's defense DVOA is top 10 in almost every category except the tight end. You look at Green Bay, they're in the bottom third in every category except 2. Slot wide receiver and the outside right side wide receiver. Looking at it, it just looks like Dallas should just smush this team. They'll never get off the field. I don't see how the defense, but having said that, AJ Dillon, Jair Alexander coming back. Everybody else on the roster practiced this week, even though they're practicing hurt. Romeo Doubs, Aaron Jones, McDuffie with the concussion in the neck was practicing. So, and also Aaron Jones has always been a Dallas Cowboys killer. He's always had great games against the Cowboys, but that was always with Aaron Rodgers. So, and not against this defense. So that's what if I had to go matchups on this, CeeDee Lamb has the best matchup. He's probably probably the best matchup in the playoffs. And on the other side, I could see maybe Kraft sneaking in there. But I really do like Jaden Reed as that hero player in this matchup. If you're going to take a Green Bay guy.
You say Reed?
Yeah. If I was going to take a Green Bay guy.
Yeah, Reed is like the Rashid Rice, Jaden Reed combo is one I rode nicely this year. And I mean, it's hard not to look at those two in these playoffs. I just like Packers coming into this. There's no pressure, or Dallas, obviously all the pressure, as much as Jerry Jones says Buddy's job is safe and all that kind of goodness. There's always pressure in Dallas, especially in the playoffs, especially they've choked so many times. So would you be surprised if Green Bay comes in and beats Dallas in Dallas?
I kind of think the coach wants to give it to him. I mean, they got run out of town. Here they come. He's got the team playing as well as he's had them play, and this offense is clicking. He knows that team. I mean, it's not like a lot of those players weren't there when he was coaching. I think Green Bay comes in at a disadvantage. Also, first playoff game for a lot of these players, the quarterback specifically, Jordan Love, this is going to be his first playoff game. It's going to be hard for him to go on the road and play real well. And Dallas just rolls people. Once they get up at home, they just have a tendency to roll. And so, that's kind of what I think is going to happen here. I think that the coach is going to want this, and the players are going to want it for the coach.
Yeah, and Dak's just at another level. I think this year he's kind of really taken that team. Him and CD are clearly on the same page. So you know, like you said, I like the underdog. Rob, what do you want me to say? I like the underdog story, but yeah, it's going to be tough for Green Bay to come in and take Dallas, especially if it becomes a huge shootout like that. But having said that, we have seen Love, you know, have those big 3 touchdown games as well. So shout out 1912 just joined us there. So let's go to the Rams. Detroit coming into the season had a lot of promise, and they've delivered, you know, mostly at home. They get the home field advantage. The problem is they've got a hot experienced LA Rams team coming into town with Stafford, Cup, obviously. And then now they've got these hot new sexy weapons and Kyron, who's been crushing it in the backfield. And then, of course, Puka Nacua in the receiving game to pair nicely with Cooper Kupp. So you've got right now Detroit 3-point favorite with a 51.5 over under. What do you like about this game, Rob, or what do you have for us?
Well, first of all, yeah, this is probably my upset. I mean, if I was to pick one team as an outright upset, I think the Rams are just going to give it to the Detroit. And statistically, it kind of backs that up also. Lions are 1-5 straight up last 6 games versus the NFC West. Rams have been 6-4 against the spread last 10 games versus the Lions. We know that the Lions don't have Sam Laporta, although the coach keeps acting like he might play. Really, that was the weakness.
Limited practice today.
Like, I mean, if he plays, that's great. But that's the weakness on the Rams. And if they don't have a tight end to go after him, the Rams defense has been playing mediocre, but more than well enough compared to what that offense has been doing, because that offense has just been chewing people up. I look at this game. I see two players with excellent matchups. That's going to be Puka and Amon-Ra. Both of them have just big advantages. Maybe not the biggest advantages on the board, but pretty close to it. Both pass offenses have been playing out of their minds. Honestly, the Rams' pass defense hasn't been bad the past couple weeks, but both of the pass defenses haven't been anything special. This is going to be an offensive game. So I think you're going to see some points scored here, but I do think that the Rams are going to come out on this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think what's his face, the Rams coach. Wow, blanking right now.
Rams coach is McVay.
McVay. You got to think that McVay knows Goff like psychologically. And is going to do everything he can to rattle him. And if they rattle him early, I could see the Rams just playing with a lead in this one and just a frustrated Detroit offense. So I like Kyron Williams actually in this game big time, especially if the Rams do get ahead and lead. And you talked about St. Brown, obviously my favorite guy on the Detroit side, but maybe Gibbs gets a bit of that Laporta action if Laporta's not back with regards to the short passing game or out of the backfield type of action. But I do think that psychological edge that, McVay has on Goff, I think might play a factor here, but who knows? Maybe Goff is, maybe is that a new player and he does kind of beat his rival, his ex-team rival. It's an interesting, with the Stafford Goff kind of swap. It's a very interesting narrative going in this game for sure.
The double revenge game. Yeah,
exactly. It's like the double rainbow.
Yeah, it's I agree with everything you just had to say about them coming in and the coach knowing Goff, and there's a reason why they traded him, because they know if they can get him off his spot that he struggles.
We've seen it, right? When he's off in a game, he gets rattled early. We've seen it. So can he bounce back? Is that like something that he's worked on, or is who knows? Maybe Detroit.
But But he hasn't. We know that. We know that, we know that when he has to move off the spot, he still is not accurate. Whereas that's why they got Stafford. Stafford can throw off base. He throws, all these crazy throws, and that was the whole point. So
another one, I keep hearing many people talk upset. Philly going to Tampa. Philly's one of these teams, Rob. I don't know. I feel like people are kind of disregarding them too easily. They grinded last year to get to where they got to, and I could see them going into this playoff the same way. I know you don't like it. I could tell by your face, but I don't know. Do you think Tampa can pull the upset here right now? It's Philly going in -3, so a 6-point difference. If you look at kind of that home field advantage Tampa has with 3 points, and then 43.5 over under. Hurts and AJ Brown, I believe, are the questionable health situations right now, which obviously the two biggest weapons in Philly. So Rob, tell us why you like Tampa in this one.
Did you see Jalen Hurts' finger? Did you see what it? You didn't see the? It was. Oh my God! Yeah, just take a look at his finger. Yeah, I once knew a crooked man that had a crooked finger, and he threw a crooked football. It was.
So you're telling us it's a DeAndre Swift, Jalen Hurts running the ball type of game?
The funny thing is that probably the best matchup on the slate is going to be AJ Brown against Carlton Davis, and we already saw what that looked like earlier in the year. It's like a man and a boy, But AJ Brown's hurt, hasn't practiced all week long, so we don't even know if he's really going to make it, and if he does, what capacity. Devonta Smith is limping out there. You got both wide receivers are limping. The quarterback has a broken finger. The running back has a broken knee. I mean, everybody's hurt. Look, and not to mention, since all of this has been going on, the defense has been a sieve. You look over the last few weeks, and the Eagles' defense, uncharacteristically pass, and especially the pass defense, has just been a sieve. So, I just, already they're tops yardage wise, giving up yards to number 1, number 2, number 3. They're going to be, tops in the playoffs as far as the averages and the passes that go there a game. And, but Tampa's right there with the receiving yards for those. This should be an offensive game. You would expect it to be the offensive game, except the last 7 games Tampa's played the NFC East, all the games have gone under. So, but it looks like it should be an offensive game, but everybody's hurt. I think it probably goes under, and I like Tampa. If you're
crazy, you could have Cleveland, Flacco playing against Baltimore next round, which you thought about that at the beginning of the year, blow your mind. And then you could have Tampa playing, I guess it would be Dallas. At Dallas, led by Baker Mayfield, who's had an impressive season, another kind of comeback player of the year candidate there in Tampa. You like to see it, though, just because, we're definitely a little light at the quarterback situation just across the board in the NFL, as we saw this year. How many starters they've had? Like 78 starters or something like that. So.
Yeah. And given the rules, too, it's so weird because you'd think that the quarterback should be, but.
All right. No, let me do some quick producing here and get our share my screen.
Okay.
And let's get into the weeds and build ourselves a little winner here. Let me find out where it is. Is it this one? Yeah. Should be right. Is that working? Yeah, you guys see that okay? Is that big enough? Let me see. Make it bigger.
Can't see. Well, here, let me look.
Let us know in the chat there if you guys can see this all right or not.
Yeah,
if I go more, it's like making it all weird. I feel like it should be good. Hold on.
Maybe a little bit bigger. Oh, there you go. It's kind of clear. A little bit bigger.
Yeah, there. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'll leave it like that. All right. So FFPC, 200 buy-in, 500K. How do you want to start this off, Rob? You want to go straight for do position by position? You want to look at go game per game? Put in the players we like, or what do you want to do? Do you have any chalk guys that you have to have in this lineup? What do you think?
Well, if we're going, yeah, yes is the answer. I have chalk guys that I definitely think I like, but I think that everybody's going to probably be there. I like CD Lamb. I think you like CD Lamb too.
Throw him in there.
I think that if he goes to the next round against Tampa Bay, he's going to have a nice matchup there. And then also if we end up at the end with, Dallas against San Francisco, I don't think there is a good matchup, but better they had talent in that situation. So I like him.
Are you, if you're looking quarterback, are you taking whoever you think goes to the Super Bowl, pick one?
No, not necessarily. I mean, just again, Andrew Cooper, thank you. Andrew Cooper was talking the other day, and he was saying how, just a few years ago, Josh Allen was the top scoring quarterback, and he got knocked out before the end. And so you don't necessarily need that quarterback that goes to the last round, but that's obviously, the best chance to score, a lot of points since it's double points.
So if you weren't going Lamar, who would be your second pick quarterback?
If I wasn't going Lamar, I think I would stick with the chalk and just go with Allen. I think Allen's going to have to do a lot for that team to advance. Without Gabe Davis in there, everything's going to be on the table. He's going to run the ball, I would imagine. We could see one of those vintage Josh Allen games. I don't know how long it'll last like that, but.
All right. So we going Lamar in this one?
Yeah, I like Lamar.
And then running back position. Kyron Williams is a guy I like. Who do you like in LA? We both like him to advance. Who's your pick?
I like Puka, believe it or not, for a couple reasons. One, if they don't advance, right now they're the underdog. But if they don't advance, then Puka's probably going to have that bigger game going out. Also, looking at, Detroit. Detroit does play the run well, even though they give it up to the running back coming out of the backfield. They do play the run pretty well. So, I'm. In the long run, if we think that the Rams are going to advance, then I like Kyron, and I do like Kyron. He's got good matchups coming out of the backfield all the way through for the most part, relative. But if you're just looking purely on the matchups and you just put him, it's going to be Puka all the way along because you're going to have Cooper Kupp taking the top corner.
Is Amon-Ra the obvious play in Detroit?
Yeah, I would think so. If who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the hero?
I feel either way, whether they win or lose, he's got to be the hero. You know what I mean? Because they're either going to be chucking the ball trying to chase LA, or they're going to need him to have a big game in order to win it.
I agree. And like you said, without the tight end, there's a few more passes to go around. So we'll see what happens.
Plus he's on my Twitter profile, so you got to play him. All right. Running backs. Let's look at our running backs. That'll set the tone for the rest of our plays, unless you want to go to the tight end there.
So this is an interesting, thing. I would go Pacheco, right? Because we think that Casey's going to advance against Miami. It's going to be a ground game, so I would go with Pacheco, and then. Assuming we get a couple games out of him, where I start to wonder is CMC. Everybody's going to take CMC. I think CMC's got to be the chalk. If I'm looking just at matchups, because it's going to be hard for them all the way through, Kittle has the matchup. Every game, that's the spot. Yeah, it's not what you would think to go. I don't have any Kittle teams, but if you were just looking at
I just know how much
DVOA,
they like to use Debo in the playoffs.
hmm
They
but
smashed Debo in the playoffs.
yeah, but he doesn't have a lot of good matchups this round. I mean, to
Okay.
me, a lot of times it's just who's on the other side.
That's why the people tune in, right, Rob? So I'm never going to argue with George Kittle. Probably my favorite player, out of fantasy, just pure football. Love watching him play.
And
So,
let's just put that out there with the understanding that CMC is the chalk. If you're going to take
100%.
someone, like CMC, I could go
He might be the most owned player in the whole tournament.
Yeah, I mean, and for good reason. I mean, he consistently performs. He has the differential. If you were going to talk about warp, I mean, all that. And so, it's so hard to get away from CMC, especially knowing in these tournaments, the chalk it's been like chalk all the way down to maybe just one or two players.
So if we look at that first Houston Cleveland game, are you are we going in Njoku there with the hot hand? Are we just going to take the Nico Collins? Do you play both and then hope that you get the blow up game from the one that locks you in that spot nicely, and then you have the next guy that goes far? If you take both Njoku or Coles or Nico, or are you fading the team that you don't think walks out of that game?
I think that I like both, having a player from both team. I even though you would think that it's two strong defenses.
And do you like Cooper and Njoku more? Who's got the better matchup? I think we
Cooper.
said Cooper, right?
Cooper.
And I feel like Njoku is going to be the play. He's going to be the most player.
I love the Njoku in this, but look, 18th, they're just under average at covering the tight end, Houston, whereas they're just crappy at covering that first wide receiver, which is going to be Cooper.
And having the one receiver on each team, you're hoping this is a high scoring game. It plays, you know what I mean? It plays narratively as well. Game script. They're going to have to be peppering these guys.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder, you don't want. Let me ask you a question. Who do you want to leave out? You got two teams that we're going to leave out. Who are the two teams you want to leave out? One, maybe the Steelers.
I think, the Steelers, and
I hate the.
It could be Miami.
Could be Miami.
It could be Miami. I mean, I keep wanting to try to find a way to see them winning, just because, like we talked about before we came on the air, everyone's talking, in KC, in the cold. You're not going to see too much money on Miami, but.
And they're bringing in defensive ends off the street, and it's going to be a running game. It's just, they lost 4 defensive linemen in the last game. They're not going to be able to stop the run. I just don't see it happening. Maybe. I mean, it would be a great story, but I doubt it.
So hard fade, and then are we putting in what you like Aaron Jones as a running back? Or are we going Jayden Reed?
I kind of like Jayden Reed.
They have to throw, right?
Yeah, I kind of like Jayden Reed. I think that he's the wide receiver that runs the ball,
definitely near the receiver. I'm looking at this team this year, and like this lineup right now, and they're having stacked receivers, top heavy receivers, which is how I love building teams. And FFPC just paid off nicely this year, and it might be the same in the playoffs. Hopefully, that's what we're hoping, anyways, with this build so far. We've got Lamar at quarterback, CD, Puka, Amon-Ra, Nico, Jaden, Amari, and then Kittle at tight end so far. We've got kicker still, we've got defense still, and we've got a couple of running backs that we need to fill in. So
I like Pacheco.
That's right. We had Pacheco. And
did we want to do Puka or do you want to do Kyron? That's either one. I'm okay with either one, but I do think Puka has
well, let me ask you. You've got Tampa winning. Who do you like in Tampa?
I like Tampa winning. I do like Tampa to win.
And how do they win? Is Rashad White a big part of that?
I think that Evans is going to have a big game there. I actually think Godwin and Evans have probably two of the top 4 matchups in the playoffs in this game.
So do we put Kyron in and then replace Puka with Evans?
We could do that. I'd be okay with that. Evans could be the guy that goes down fighting too, if worse comes to worse.
He's just a beast, man.
He's having a great season.
People kind of count him out all the time. So we're fading the number 1 receiver in the game right now in Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
AJ Brown dealing with injuries. So what are we going? Philly, we going kicker? Elliott?
Yeah, that's not a bad call. I could do Elliott at kicker. He's solid. Yeah, either that.
Otherwise, you're looking at Sanders in the cold, super windy game. And then Buffalo or like Boswell.
No. This actually fits nice. I like that.
Right. Who's our D then?
It might be raining down here. They're talking about it raining down here, but it's nice. It's been nice down here.
So did we even put a Buffalo player in, or am I missing something? We didn't even put a Buffalo player in.
Wow. Defense.
Are you serious?
Well, who we pulling, and for who? Who do you want to put in? I mean, because if we're gonna,
we split the Houston, Cleveland game, and we have no one from the Pittsburgh Buffalo game.
All right, we gotta have someone.
I feel like as much as I like having both Amari and Nico, I feel like that's where maybe we make an adjustment.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I feel like we can either put. Oh yeah, I mean,
it's either Diggs or
James Cook. Buffalo does we've seen Singletary have good playoffs.
I like Cook. I like Cook's matchups going through. They've been pushing him, but he hasn't been scoring that much for fantasy. 15 points a game. He's barely cracked over that 20 point.
Well, who do you playing at home against Pittsburgh? In my mind, I could see them wanting to get Diggs get involved in this game so that it builds momentum in the playoffs, because they're going to need Diggs. And we're talking about Josh Allen taking the team being Superman, but at the end of the day, he's not going to do that all the way to the end. So if they really think they're going to have a legit run, they're going to need Diggs to be the man.
You don't think they've been trying to do that the last 6 games?
I know. As I'm saying that, that's what I'm thinking. So that's why I'm like, do they switch it up and maybe lean more on, the young running back he's been pretty good this year. Who else is there? Kincaid?
Kincaid, if you line him up outside and have him go against you'd have Kincaid
instead of Davis.
Going against Levi Wallace instead of Gabe Davis. I think that would be, something that would not be expected, and I do think
it's going to be a very low percentage play too.
Yeah. Look, everything in this one, it doesn't have to be low percentage. Like I said, this one is you bet the horses, and you just 1 or 2 that are those guys that go off.
If we like Houston, we got to keep Nico in, right?
Rookie quarterback, the most experienced winning quarterback on the other side. My guess is Flacco gets a lead and milks it, keeps the other offense off the field. He knows how to do that. I see maybe Nico, if we were going to take anyone from that team, Nico or the kicker, or maybe the defense, but really Nico or the kicker. And then on the other side with Flacco, Njoku probably is the only one, just because tight end premium. Cooper has the great matchups too, but are you going to take Cooper over?
I like the kicker call. I like the kicker call because if you're going to take Cleveland and Amari, to come out of Houston, that means defense played well. But they're going to get something, right? With Stroud chucking the ball, maybe he gets nervous in the red zone, so they got to kick some field goals,
right? Because they can't run the ball.
Yeah. So I don't mind. I don't hate the Cleveland, but then we're back to having. So now we got to look at either Philly. So now we've got Philly, Buffalo to play.
Okay.
That's basically what we're looking at. One's going to be our defense, and one's going to be. Yeah, that's tough.
It is because, there's really not a lot of guys besides Cook you'd want on Buffalo, except maybe the defense. But the defense isn't going to give you that many points, 10 points a game, and you're looking for 20 points. I'd rather have a defense score a touchdown on the way out.
So
Philly's defense and maybe Diggs. But I mean, it's not like I'm in love with Diggs either. Maybe Cooks.
I thought we were going to go Kincaid with the off chalk with the kind of.
Oh no! I was saying I was just throwing like the off shot of what could happen if. But you're talking about. I'm just projecting what I think the coach should do. I haven't seen anything on film to suggest that they're going to move him there in a more permanent way. They just chuck it to I think they're going to play 2 tight end sets and try to run the ball. And they're talking about being able to throw the ball, maybe short passes, but there's not going to be a lot of scoring in that game.
So is this the lineup?
What do we got? Let's see.
We got Lamar at quarterback. We got Pacheco and Kyron at running back. And then we've got CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Jaden Reed, Amon-Ra, Amari Cooper. We've got Kittle at tight end, Kincaid in the flex, Houston kicker, Philly defense.
Wow. It's different. It's definitely different. It's a lot more dart throws and a lot less.
Why don't we do this? Let's leave it at this for now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make adjustments. We don't, we want to make sure we get that one team that, so maybe we change it. We make a couple adjustments. We'll tell you guys about it once the tournament starts. Maybe we'll tweet it out. We'll tweet out the final roster once the tournament locks up. But this has been great, Rob. You always bring a ton of goodness with regards to, all of it, man. Just your overall studies of the game. You get deep into it, DVOA, matchups, all of it. We love it. This has been a great kind of look at the playoffs, whether you're betting on the games, whether you're playing DFS, or hopefully you're playing this FFPC tournament, as we talked about. $500,000 for first, $200,000 buy-in. And then if you want, you can also play $35 buy-in, which is $100,000 for first, which, not too bad either for a couple weeks of fantasy football. So, Rob, this is a pleasure as usual. Good luck to you in the playoffs. Good luck to everyone out there. If you guys bink the winner, if we don't, for whatever reason, bink the winner, you guys bink it. Make sure you tag at Goat District out there. Tag Rob and myself. Dan, hope you're having a good time out there in the beach. Guys, enjoy the games this weekend. I mean, nothing like NFL playoffs. It'll for sure be a ton of fun. And we appreciate you guys hanging with us in the chat today. Have a great weekend, guys. What do you have?
$200 buy-in. $200 buy-in, $500,000 cash prize, $35 buy-in, $100,000 cash prize.
Did I say that wrong?
Yeah, somebody was asking about a $200,000 buy-in.
Oh, I apologize. All right, guys. See, it's time. It's time to shut her down. All right, we'll check you all later.
Go DiSTRiCT, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text. That trash offer's the best. You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Bro, broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the and I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.